Well, you're in for a real treat today. I get so many comments asking me to rebut or reject or rubbish some of the lies, mistakes, myths and misconceptions that are out there. Dave, why don't you make a real video about this showing the truth? Dave, why don't you prove them to be wrong? Well, the day has finally arrived. Dave finally takes it on. The lies, the mistakes, the errors, the myths and misconceptions that I have seen that so infuriate both you and I. And in my normal style, these videos will not be technical at all, might be a bit of fun, may contain an analogy or two. I will not identify the YouTubers in most cases because if I am right, then promoting my viewers to watch a factually wrong video can only do harm and can only give him or her more hits, clicks or whatever it is they're trying to seek. Am I opening myself up to libel or slander? I hope not, but just in case, I do stress these are my findings and my personal opinions, so check them out for yourself. You may disagree. However, any YouTuber who wants to contact me, I welcome the approach and I will publish any relevant correspondence. Relevant in this case normally means all the correspondence, just minus the swearing and the threats. I'm Dave. This is Dave Takes It On. Today's rip apart is about a YouTube video produced by its Australian host who analyses the data from a very serious study entitled BU-808: How to Prolong Lithium-Based Batteries. Well, this video demonstrates the use of perfect research and correct data before totally collapsing into fantasy, mistakes, ignorance or deliberate lies at the final conclusion. And this is from a claimed EV driver who says he only does about 14 kilometres a day, about 10 miles he can charge at home, and is in the habit of plugging in every night. He presents himself as a sincere, knowledgeable, well-meaning, well-intentioned host. Well, this video, as stated in the title, is about how to prolong the life of your EV battery, this time by changing the way that you charge. Brilliant! We actually need this. Well, I certainly do. I love it so far, and the research turns out to be almost perfectly flawless. The Battery University in Australia. No, I didn't make it up. I didn't know one existed either. They're experts. They've spent years researching, testing and writing papers about their findings. Hundreds of papers, all highly technical. I have no issues with them. They do know far more than me, and we need far more research like this. Well, the paper in question here is a masterpiece of that technical info. It covers both NMC, ternary and LFP batteries, so it's well up to date. Totally factual, totally data-driven, expertly put together, but with nice colour pictures and graphs for the majority of people who won't bother reading the text. For nerds like me, I love this, and there should be a lot more of it. Well, I thank the Battery Institute for this publicly available, published data, which is shown here intact and in context. The research looks at the impact that various charging and discharging cycles have on the lifetime or capacity of lithium-ion batteries. It's a vital subject to all of us who own an EV with an expensive battery. The report shows generally a higher degradation or capacity drop if you charge from 0% to 100% every single time, and dramatically less degradation if you charge from just 0% to 10% every time. And that's even LFP batteries. It also looks at the effects of temperature on battery storage and capacity. Then it shows that if you discharge by 100% right down to 0% every time, you'll experience greater degradation also than if you discharge from 100% down to just 90% each time. Well, the difference is dramatic. I'm not going to quote you the masses of exact figures and data, you can see them for yourselves. But a general summary would indicate if you charge from 0% to 100% every single day, you might well only get a few hundred cycles out of the battery. Whereas if you only charge 0% to 10% every day, you might get many thousands of cycles. Exactly the same happens with discharging. Discharge from 100% down to 0% every time, and you may only get a few hundred cycles, whereas discharge from 100% down to just 90%, and you may get thousands of cycles. And once again, totally predictable that it is at least 10 times more cycles. But again, interesting that it is around double the 10 times you would expect. Well, I'm hoping here that most of you realise this is not staggering new information. In fact, it is just plain common sense. It doesn't have very much to do with battery chemistry at all. Take charging. If you only ever charge a battery from 0% to 10% state of charge, you'd have to do that 10 times to equal one full charge of 0% to 100%. Not simple. The interesting thing is that with charging only to that 10% limit, but 10 times as often, so you get the same charge, you actually get twice the number of cycles out of the battery before it drops below useful capacity. Not totally surprising here, but interesting. It just confirms treat your battery right, it will last longer. And certainly nothing to worry about here. So, general conclusion, if you want to keep your battery healthy for longer, don't charge or discharge regularly from 0% to 100% and vice versa. Nothing new here. Certainly not for NMC or ternary batteries, which most of us have. What about LFP? Well, the data shows that LFP batteries are almost identical, showing a greater degradation with 100% charge and discharge rates, but as advertised, they offer 2 or 3 times the number of cycles compared directly to NMC or ternary batteries treated the same way. They last longer. Well, nothing new here. And here is where our YouTuber should have stopped. Up to this point, he was absolutely spot on, well researched, lovely data, clear, concise, accurate, helpful. Well, let's see what he said in the next few sentences that destroyed this totally, and see if you can spot the several disasters. I paraphrase his words here, but they are accurate. He looks at the cycles on the graph showing here, and he uses the exact data it provides and states that you might be happy with your battery if it is down to 85% capacity, but in the industry the common figure that is accepted is 90%. And he then draws a red line across here. He says the battery manufacturers only issue generalised instructions about their batteries. He has researched this thoroughly and his data is far more accurate. He then says, using the black line on my graph, on their graph, if I charged my battery every day from 25% to 100%, I would only get about 1,000 cycles, meaning 365 days in the year, 3 years before the industry considered my battery to be finished. Whereas if I only charge my battery from 25% to 75% every day, again using the graph, but this time the light blue line, I will get over 5,500 cycles or nearer 15 years useful life. Okay, any takers? Come on, you must have spotted it surely. Okay, for those who haven't, here goes. 2 huge disasters here, and the first one. Industry standard is not 90% and the battery's finished. That is ludicrous. Battery manufacturers issue very specific data about charging and discharging. This is all total fabrication, utterly destroying all the good work done in research up to this point. How do I know? Am I a battery expert? I just look at my Tesla Model S battery warranty, which I publish here, which came with the car, which states 8 years and unlimited mileage. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore, but subject to 70% retention of battery capacity during the warranty. The latest warranty on all new Teslas, plainly displayed on the website, 8 years, 150,000 miles, whichever comes first, within 70% minimum retention of battery capacity over the warranty period. Minimum 70% retention of battery capacity over the warranty period. Repeat it, 70%, not 90%. This is a clear case where the conclusions totally diverge from the facts. Sorry, you're totally wrong. The useful capacity of an EV battery, according to all the EV manufacturers, because the issue of warranty for this capacity is 70% of its capacity during the first 8 years or 150,000 miles, or whatever your own particular warranty says. It might be slightly different. Ford Mach-E, for example, 8 years or 100,000 miles, but exactly the same 70% capacity, as they all are. However, it then degenerates into total stupidity and pathetic mistakes when he says he will change the way he charges his battery to extend its useful life. Can you spot this one? Now, this one is so simple, I'm sure you all must have seen it. But here, let's have one of my analogies, one I learned back at school to help you if you haven't spotted it. Well, you're the pilot of an airline, and at Heathrow Airport, you take on 42 passengers. You then take off flight to Paris, where 12 of them get off, 56 get on. Your flight to Munich, 35 get off, 44 get on, and finally your flight to Rome. How tall is the pilot? It's a great childhood one I still remember from school. It catches out many people today. In case you're still puzzled, how could you know the height of the pilot? The very first line says you're the pilot. It is relevant here because in the first few lines he states he's a low mileage driver doing only about 14 kilometres a day, less than 10 miles. So my first question is, how can you discharge your battery every single day from 100% down to 0% by driving less than 10 miles? What on earth are you driving? Even a Hummer gets more than 1 mile per kilowatt hour, so even in that monstrosity, you'd only use 10 kilowatt hours to do 10 miles. How can your battery be at 0% when you get home every day? Needing a charge from 0% to 100% every single day. Well, okay, I think that's the point made. But take a quick look on the graph. If he does drive a Hummer and he needs to top up just 10% every day, from 65 to 75%, and uses all 10 kilowatts each and every day, then the point at which it drops below his totally false line set at 90%, well, actually, it doesn't ever drop below 90% before it extends beyond the 25-year range on the edge of the graph. Well, this is either a massive mistake, he simply misread the data on the graph, or a deliberate lie designed to scare us. I sincerely hope it is a mistake, and from the rest of the video I would lean towards it being a mistake. But this is so incredibly dangerous to all those who either don't know or just accept all he says. A non-EV driver could easily take from this that he has to charge to 100% each night at home, and his battery will only last 3 years. Wow, is that wrong? Well, I hope so. My battery's already 7 years old. That is the reason I will now call out those that are either deliberately or accidentally launching videos that are totally and utterly wrong, and possibly designed deliberately to scare us or attract hits and clicks, or maybe just the attention of the media. Stop it! I'm Dave.